In this video from Shop Stuff, we're taking a closer look at the reporting functionality of the SRC550 and 4500 models. So a couple of disclaimers. We're looking at the 550 in this video, so that's the single printer version. The 4500 has a second printer in, which is an audit roll printer. So you get all the reported information that I'm going to show you in this video, but obviously you've also got the audit roll, real-time paper audit roll, spooling onto a spool at the back of the machine. On this machine you've only got one printer, the 550, but you can have it set to receipt or journal. Most of our customers would have it set to receipt mode, so you can issue receipts during the day and then print your Z1 end of day report at the end of the day. I'm going to try and cover the basics and most important bits of the reporting function at the start of the video, so cover it in the first 5 minutes or so, and then I'll go into a bit more detail in the second half about some of the more unusual reports you can run. So trying to get all the important information out of the way, so you haven't got to watch 10 minutes of video to get one piece of information. But here we go. So if you're familiar with the previous range of Casio cash registers, so the SRC450 and 3500, and then the ones before that, 300 and 2000, then the reporting processes and information is very similar on this range. You have a key lock, so if you're not familiar with Casio tills, you have a key lock here which controls what mode you're in. And when you get the machine, you get 2 operator keys with it and then 2 manager keys. I've got the manager key in. The operator key will only go to the reg and off mode, so all the other modes, including RF, PGM, and then your report ones, X, Z and XZ, are protected, so you can only get into them if you've got the manager key. So if I start with X is read-only is another name for it, so it gives you lots of information but it doesn't reset any data. Z mode then gives you pretty much the same information. Some of the reports are slightly different, but it then resets the data in that file. What it does is then it pushes the data into the final mode, which is your XZ mode, which is periodic. So you've got X read only, Z read and reset, and then XZ periodic reporting. So they're the 3 modes. What I'll do is I'll run through the most obvious examples in each mode of what you would actually use in a normal day's trading. So if I'm running my pub or shop in X mode, I'm really only looking at a flash report. I'm not going to print any reports out. So your flash report is actually down here. So you highlight the report and then press the cash amount 10 button, and this report just shows you on screen what you've taken so far today. The way the till reports work is they are periods of time, so they're not necessarily days or weeks or months, but they're periods of time. So this information here is from the last time the Z1 report was run, the resetting report. So obviously most of the time you'd be running that daily Z report at the end of the day. So this is then where the X flash comes in, because you can have a look and see how much money you've taken so far today. You can print the report out, but I think what's the point? If you wanted to print it, you press the cash amount 10 button as it says here, but if you're just looking at it, you then press subtotal. There's lots of other reports on X. I think most people won't use them, so I'm going to jump straight to Z and show you how to do the end of day Z report. So we've had a look at the X flash because that's to see where we were during the day, and then at the end of the day we do a daily Z report. Now this is a financial report which is going to tell us, well, it's going to do 2 things. It's printing a report out that's going to help us reconcile our till draw. It's going to split the sales down by method of payment and by department, and it'll also have the tax splits on there if that's programmed in, which is why it's the financial report. But also what it's going to do is it's going to wipe down the daily Z. So I'll prove that by running another report, which is going to be at zeros apart from GTs if I've got them on the machine. It seems unnecessary to do this, but I'm going to use it to illustrate a point. So now we've run that secondary Z, and you can see all the totals apart from the counters are back to 0. So that file is cleared down so that if today was Saturday, when I come to work on Monday and run Monday's reports or Sundays, then it's only going to include that day's data. Now, before I started this video, I've run some previous Z reports. So these are my daily Z reports for the last 6 days, and then the one I've just run in front of you was for the 7th day. So I've got a week's worth of Z report data. We'll just take a look at any one of those, the last one probably. So it's got the date and time on it. It's got the sales split down by department. So you've got your totals on there. You've also got methods of payment, and you'll also notice if you put any refunds through the machine, they'll be on there. Your number of customers served that day, any cancelled transactions, any no sales, so that's if someone's opened the drawer without putting a transaction through, they'll all be recorded on there. But the key information is how much money you've taken and then by what method of payment, so it's easy for you to split your sales out or count your drawer up. So then the reason why I've shown you the daily Z and got so many of them printed out is that you can then use the X2 Z2 position, so the XZ position, as a periodic reporting. So if we've got 7 daily Zs here, which is my week's trading, if I then went to periodic 1Z and ran that report is going to be one single report that totalises all these 7 Z reports. So I've got 7 daily Z reports here, and then I've got a periodic 1Z, which is then the total of those 7 reports. You can then stretch that even further by having, what's that done is that's wiped down the periodic 1Z, so that file is all at 0 now. So you could then use your periodic 2Z as a monthly report. Now the key thing to remember with this periodic reporting is that the till doesn't know what information you want. It's just treating a report at real time. So if you want daily reports, you have to go and run the Z1 daily every day. If you want weekly reports, you have to run the periodic 1Z at the same point each week. And likewise with the periodic 2Z, if you wanted monthly reports or quarterly reports, you would then have to run those at the same month or the same quarter. So they're not, the till doesn't know it's March 2020 you want the report for, it's just going, right, he wants all the information since the last time this report was Z'd. The other thing to bear in mind is that the periodic 1Zs and 2Zs will only have the financial information, so they'll only have sales by department and method of payment. They won't go into specifics of PLUs. So that's the main way of using the reporting. X mode, you have a flash report, Z is your daily, and then X2, Z2, it's totally optional, you don't have to use it, but some businesses may use it for weekly, monthly or quarterly reporting, remembering the caveat that you have to get into the routine of doing it. It's not like on a computer system where you can dial in and say I want my reports from April to March the 27th, or the other way around. So if we take a look back in the Z mode, I'll just have a talk through some of the other options. PLU obviously is a sales report by PLU, so it will show you the quantity and value of each of the PLUs that you've sold. It won't show them if they haven't sold any. So if you've got scanning lines on there, or you've got the PLU set up under the PLU button, or if you've had these buttons converted from departments to PLUs, then it will be a sales total of those. So the way you might use that is you wouldn't run that report every day necessarily, but you might run a report once every month or every quarter to see what were your top selling items. Now, stock takers kind of like PLU reports. They're not stock reports as such because they don't tell you how much you did have in stock and how much you should have in stock. They'll literally be 200 pints of Guinness sold, 15 bottles of rum sold, that sort of information. So you've got a group report on there. Most of our customers don't use groups because on these Casio machines you've kind of already got 2 levels. You've got PLUs and departments. The PLUs are covered under the PLU report, and then departments are covered under the normal daily Z report. So if you're not sure what PLUs and departments are, PLUs are individual products, so a tin of beans, a pint of Guinness, an apple, a bottle of Coke. A department is a grouping of products, so soft drinks, alcohol, draft beer, fruit, veg, and so on. Group is then a higher classification, so your machine probably hasn't been set up with group reporting on it. If it has, then by all means you can use the group reporting, and it's just showing you the sales by group. Hourly is quite an interesting one, so it'll show you, it's another report that you wouldn't run that often because the data is really useful over a longer period of time, and it basically splits your sales, your total sales down by hour. So the theory is you would look at it and go, okay, that's my busiest hour, and know when to have more staff in or run more promotions. Monthly, so you have got a monthly report on there, but again, it doesn't know, it doesn't say January 2020 or March 2019. It's a numeric month, so it'll say month 1 will be your first month of trading. So if you set up in March, then it's not going to follow the calendar year, but it just gives you a total value again. So we'll say the total for that month. It's not really as good as the periodic reporting, so again, it's not something that I think is that popular. Open check is only relevant if you've got the check tracking file set up on the till, and that's a dormant feature, so that has to be programmed in by a cash register dealer. So if you've got that, you'll look at a different video of ours to cover that sort of information. Is there anything else that's interesting down there? Okay, yes, you've got EJ and EJ Clear. So the EJ, again, this is really relevant for the single printer version, the 550. You have an electronic journal on the machine, so it's a copy of everything that the till has ever done. So if someone's done a refund, a no sale, or some programming, or run a report, it'll be on the electronic journal, unless you've changed the settings of the machine to wipe the EJ with every Z report, because a lot of places either don't have the time or inclination or aren't interested in the electronic journal. If you're interested in journal, you'll do it probably a different way. You'll either have the twin roll version, the double printer machine, sorry, the 4500, where you have the journal printed here real time, or you can back up the EJ to the SD card and then interrogate the information on your PC. And then EJ Clear is if you just want to wipe the electronic journal down when you've looked at it. You can look at the journal on, I can't remember, yeah, this one prints it out, and I think I'm about to run out of till roll, so I don't want to do that. But if you go back into the X mode, I'm sure in the X mode you can look at the EJ without printing it or resetting it. So that's kind of useful if you think something's gone wrong recently. You can pop in the date, and then it will bring the report up, because of course I've just cleared the EJ, so there's nothing on there. I should have done that the other way around, but basically it brings the EJ up on screen, so you can then toggle through it, and it's all time and date stamped, so you can go to the point of the day where you think the problem was, and it'll be on there. So that's like a useful feature that I probably should have covered in the X mode reporting. But they're the main things I think for the reporting on the tills. There are a couple of settings in the programming mode which I'll quickly show you. If you go down to general setting, you've got an option here, EJ Clear after daily Z. So that's what I was talking about. If you're only ever going to look at the EJ through the X mode, then you might want to set this up. You simply set it to yes, and it basically means whenever you do the daily Z, it wipes down the journal information to stop it building up in the till's memory. And then this option is quite important if you want the SD card backup. You've got EJ sales to SD after XZ, so you just change that to yes. That means that every time you run the Z report, it sends all the information down to the SD card. It does mean the report takes a little longer to print, and it does mean you've always got to have the SD card in the machine, because if you try and run the report and you haven't got the SD card in, you're going to start getting error messages. Okay, so I hope that video was helpful. Felt like I rushed it a bit, and I don't feel like I've covered everything. So if there's something specific about the reports that you don't think I've mentioned, then go to shopstuff.co.uk. The information should be on there, or send us an email through there and we'll come back to you. You can always give us a call as well, numbers on the website. You can also subscribe to this channel, which I'd recommend doing, because we're always posting new videos when the tills come out. We do sell a lot of other products which we also review via our YouTube channel, and this video here will be as part of a playlist for half a dozen videos on the 550 and 4500, so check those out. And yeah, thanks very much for watching.